Hello, Nick family. I'm Stephanie from the Queen's Court,
And I'm Tony Crow from Knicks and Bruises.
and this is the crossover.
That's over.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
peace,
I'll be
Queen.
your peace to you too. Always a pleasure. Um, Today we're going to talk about, a few things. For those in the chat, this is your opportunity. If you want to come on, we'll drop the link a little later. And if you want to give your takes on the Keep 'em and Dump 'em series that we did on a Nothing But Nick's channel. So far, we went over Randle, RJ. No, excuse me, not Randle yet. We went over RJ, Fournier, Obi, and IQ. So those who want to drop, hop on and give us your take on that, we'd be definitely interested in hearing. And we'll also talk about Obi and his confidence or lack thereof. For those who think, some of us may think he doesn't have a confidence issue, but the question is Tibbs a factor in his confidence, either in developing his confidence or in breaking it down. So I'm gonna leave this to Tony. I'm gonna take care of that issue that you guys are hearing in the
No problem. Shout out to the chat. Thank you guys for joining. Um, I don't know who we should leave with. Well, I'm leave with Obi Toppin and his confidence. A lot of guys in the chat directly blame Tibbs for his lack of confidence and pointed to Obi's own words when he said, he was worried about making a mistake or being pulled um after a miscue or something of that sort. But I really feel like you can't put that on Tibbs. That's on the player who has to really develop that confidence, that inner belief in himself, and know how to play through whatever the circumstances. Um, did it help? I mean, did Tibbs directly cause this lack of confidence, or is it something that Obi has to deal with within to figure that out? Because obviously, there's a big difference in him when he's playing with confidence and when he's not. Um, I don't know how much you caught Queen, but what are your thoughts? And then when we do open up the panel for you guys, I definitely want to get your take on that particular question as well.
I mean, listen, I'm not sure that Obi lacks confidence right now. And I think, a lot of the fan base would probably say, what are y'all talking about? I think Obi is very confident. I think what's coming up for me is he's going to have a bigger role next season, whether Randle is here or not, right? He's going to have a bigger role. Um, he talks about looking over his shoulder and how that impacts how he plays on the court. And a lot of the fan base understands that, and feel like, oh, he shouldn't have to look over his shoulder. Tibbs should just leave him out there. He shouldn't, pull him after mistakes. He should leave him in the game. They should trade Randall, like doing all of these things. So, he doesn't have to look over his shoulder. But another way to look at it is, so what? Why are you looking over your shoulders? He screams at you, so what? He takes you out the game, so what? I can understand you getting frustrated about it and upset about it, but why is that rattling you? And I get it. Some players are different than others. It doesn't rattle IQ. Tibbs yells at him all the time. No, I heard him say, no, no, no. He shot anyway. He's going to do his own thing. Nothing is rattling him. So I get it that every player is different. But my question is, you're going to have a bigger role in New York City playing for Tibbs. Is that going to work? And if not, in terms of his mental makeup and his ability to kind of deal with this larger role, deal with Tibbs, deal with the fact that Randall still may be here, he still may get pulled. Is
Yeah,
that on him or is that on Tibbs to for his
I'm less
confidence to get better?
I'm less concerned. I'm less concerned with how he handles a bigger role. I'm more concerned with how he handles maybe what maybe feel like in a lack of bigger role. or him not getting a fair shot, or you know what I mean, because it's not like this is something that is inclusive to him. You know what I mean? You look around the league and a lot of players, especially young players, rookies, and second, they got to earn their way into their spots. You know what I mean? And I'm a true believer of nothing is when nothing's given to you and everything is earned. You know what I mean? That's better than just opening a clear path for someone. So I mean I agree that there are concerns, but I'm less concerned with how he handles more minutes. I'm more concerned with how he handles turmoil or lack of minutes or
That's what I
those type
mean.
of situations. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Because if Randall is not here, if Randall is still here, it's going to be a similar situation of him getting pulled out of games, maybe. You know, his role is going to be big. And Tibbs is going to still be Tibbs. You know,
I got a flip side question,
Mhm.
and I mean it's probably an easy answer, but how concerned are you same scenario with Randall, where maybe he's getting pulled now when the performance is not there, or even more so if Obi is performing in his time, maybe that leash gets extended, which I expect at this point coming next year. How does Randall handle that? And it's definitely
I
concerning coming off of what we've seen him handle any type of adversity or turmoil this year.
well, I don't think he's going to lack confidence, but I think I
Well,
don't
I'm,
think by that I mean I don't think he's going to question his abilities if he's being pulled. But what I think is going to happen is I don't think he's going to handle it well if this year is any indication. So I think, he can fly off the handle, he can get frustrated, he can get disruptive. A lot can happen, and his energy is huge. Like some people's energy is just not that huge. So they on the end of the bench or they sitting down and they pout and it don't affect nobody. I don't know what's wrong with him. But and his, his energy is so huge. And plus he's a big part of the team still at this point, that if that happens, if he starts getting disruptive, whatever, it kind of disrupts the energy. You feel it. You feel it. So I mean, I think it's different. I don't think he's gonna question
well,
himself in
I,
that
I,
regard.
I, I definitely wasn't referring to his confidence. I was saying
Mhm.
how concerned are you in attitude
I
and
am
and
very concerned.
you know what I mean? Like it sucks because I'm definitely a Randall fan, and I didn't even take it as a big deal. The game that we won, where he kind of didn't celebrate with the team, only because it's not something that is abnormal or you've never seen before throughout the league. Even with higher caliber players than
Hmm.
Randall. So I wasn't too concerned with it, but I know, my next question would have been, you know, do you think winning would solve it? So can Randall have a bad game, Obi have a good game, we win the game, and Randall celebrate with the team? But I know immediately the reference is going to be the one game he didn't, when I can honestly point out games where he did. You know what I mean? Maybe it wasn't necessarily Obi having the good game in
Hmm.
that particular game, but Randall having bad games and you know appreciating his team stepping up in a win. We've seen that as well. So I just want to make it clear that you know what I mean. But what are your thoughts on that? Do you look at that one game as an outlier, or even an outlier because of the season in which he had, or do you think he can celebrate it if we're winning, and or I don't want to say winning, but if we win this game and he didn't play well, Randall Obi did, or do you think it's still gonna be that same Randall that we just saw?
I mean, it depends. If there's any changes made over the season in terms of his attitude. I've seen him celebrate when Obi scored 40 points. He was celebrating. You know, when IQ had the game he was celebrating. So it's not all the time. So that's why I don't think his celebrating or not celebrating is about him not supporting the other players or being jealous. I don't think it has anything to do with that. I just think he gets wrapped up in the moment, whether it's a bad call or something. And once that happens, there's no turning back. There's no turning back. Even with the Chicago game, I'm sure he was happy they won, but he was so wrapped up in whatever it was, a bad call, the official, whatever it was, that he couldn't even process that there was a bigger picture. We won the game, you know. So I don't think there's jealousy over Obi or appreciate you, Jay Boogie. I
Salute.
just think I just think that's the issue.
No doubt, no doubt. Do you want to do a quick recap of these keep them or dump 'ems, or do you want to go directly into putting the link out? Or you can put the link up
We could do
now in
both.
the chat,
Yeah, I'll
and
put
then
the
we
link
could
out.
do a quick recap. And you guys, if you want to join in and give your takes on what your personal opinions were about keep 'em or dump 'em for these guys, we're gonna go through that with you guys. I love when you guys join in and kind of give your quick takes on what you think. And soon we'll have the phone lines up and running for the show as well, which I'm looking forward to as well.
Yeah, so on Nothing But Knicks, if you guys are following us, and I know you have, we've been doing the Keep 'em or Dump 'em series. We did RJ, we did Fournier, we did Obi, we did IQ, and we thought we would give the chat an opportunity to hop on with us and give us your take a lot of times. And I got an email from somebody, I forgot who it was, who said, "We got a lot to say in the chat. You know, we put our one lines in the chat, but we have much more to say than that." And so we dropped the link. Those who want to pop on and give you a take, do so. I think you guys already know. I was at all four of the shows. I gave my opinion there. I covered all four of the people on Dope Soul Sports Talk and my individual videos, right? So I know Tony missed a few of them. So this
Yes.
is I'm gonna let you go first. I'll piggyback off of you. Um, let's start
All
with
right.
RJ, and I want to add another question to RJ, and we talking about him, and that is he untradeable?
Mm.
You know? All right.
I'll start with the question with that question. Is he untradeable? Um, no. I don't think there's a player on the team that is
Mhm,
untradeable. Um, but it really has to. It's gonna be hard for me to be okay with it. You know what I mean? I can't
mhm,
even really think off the top of my head, a guy that I'm willing that is realistic. You know what I mean? Like,
mhm,
um, yeah, he's very close to untradeable, but that's only because I'm being realistic in ideas of trades that I'm talking about. Like a Giannis, of course I'm throwing RJ. You know what I mean? Like
mhm,
there's
mhm,
guys that I would move him for or include him in for, but I don't think they're realistic trades. So he's the closest to unmovable or untouchable, but there's a caveat in there. You know what I mean? Everybody, the right price, everybody's movable. As far as keep him or dump him, obviously keep him. I love the strides he's made, especially the tail end of the season. I want to see RJ. I'll go by this. This is some things I'm looking forward for him to work on and improve on. And I'll say a strong start to the season. You know what I mean? We've seen him kind of work his way into who he is by the end of each season, and we're kind of satisfied with that. But I want to see a strong start and then continued improvement. You know what I mean? Don't just pick it
mhm.
up at the end. Start strong, and I think this is the year we see it. So I'm looking forward to that. I think he should have all the confidence in the world because of how he ended. He set a goal and reached the goal, which is
Mhm.
always encouraging. So now you got to set a new goal and have something to strive for. Very encouraged by him. Even with his flaws, I'm super encouraged by him because he has such a veteran's swagger to him, or mentality, where he doesn't seem to be phased by much. There was a few instances this year where I saw, you know, things that people complain about with Randle, where he kind of complaining to the ref and not getting back on D. I seen a little bit of that. But I also do believe he gets hit a lot and doesn't get the respect or the calls. But definitely a keep 'em. Definitely interested in the chat as well if you guys jump in. And I got a question for you, and I think you covered this on one of your shows as well. But it seems to become a pattern for the media and the magazines and the entities to undervalue RJ. I mean, he's kind of, I think he's been on some type of a snub list every year so far, and I think it's been pretty ridiculous, each one of them. Legitimate arguments against these lists as far as leaving him off.
Mhm.
Um, I like it because I think it motivates him, and I think that, I text you one of those days. I'm like, they're creating a monster for us. You,
Mhm.
you, you know
Mhm.
what I mean? So I enjoy the fact that he deals with it. But why do you think this is? Do you think it's the troll? Do you think it's because of the response that they get? They like to do these things, or do you think this is an honest belief, honest consensus out there, and are we overvaluing RJ?
That's a very good question, and I'm not sure if I have the answer. There was times when I thought, wow, the narrative on the Knicks or how the media and fans think outside of us think about the Knicks is still so negative that it's impacting our players getting chosen. So I still think there's some of that going on. I don't think that's all of it, but I still think there's some of it. Like, did you just look at this organization that's been a mess for a very long time? And I think they look at the players and they be like, ain't nothing going on over there. So I think that's part of it. I don't think that's all of it. Maybe they're looking at his inefficiencies. They're digging into the advanced stats. Um, maybe they're looking at the fact that the Knicks only won one playoff series since 2013. Um, I'm not sure what they're looking at, but I think he should have been on, you know,
It
on
mind
these teams.
boggles me because I talk to a
Mhm.
lot of fans that are not Nick fans as well, just to kind of pick their brains.
Mhm.
And the consensus that I seem to get is different from what ESPN puts out, or whomever these guys are that
Mhm.
that make these lists every year, that seem
Mhm.
seem to really go out of their way to not include him.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But it does make me question, do we overvalue him?
Mhm.
Because um, I know me personally, I tend to overvalue uh Knicks fans throughout my time I mean Knicks players throughout my
Mhm.
time as a Knicks fan, and I admit that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's one of my things. I've gotten better at it and looking from other perspectives, but you know, over the years, I've tend to overvalue at least one or two guys
Yeah, yeah.
every.
I mean, I don't think we're overvaluing RJ now. I thought last season when he was in the middle of his slump and people were talking, I was like, I'm not sure where they getting this from. But once he started playing into that role, I don't think he's overvalued at all. I don't think he's overvalued at all. I think he's one of those guys that has a high floor and a high ceiling. Whether he reaches it or not, that's who
That's
knows? But he has
that's
a high
that's
floor and a high ceiling.
That's a great great way to word it, because yeah, at the very least, solid 10, 12 year vet. You know what I mean? Like even if he don't make an all-star or become a superstar, like he's gonna be solid for years and years to come. Doesn't necessarily rely on athleticism. So everything he's doing and he's learning and figuring out is about thinking. You know what I mean? That's always going to improve, or at least for the most part. When you're working on that aspect of your game young, and doing it because you're not the super athlete, you're not the fastest in the world. You're like, that's you figuring out the game. You know what I mean? That's things that some of the athletic guys throughout the league. You worry about that with them because they 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 rely on their athleticism, and then once that starts to dwindle away, it's a learning curve because they have to figure out something that they never really had to work on throughout their peak years. And RJ is the total opposite because
Right.
of it's similar with Brunson. Undersized. What I mean, not super athletic, not the fastest. Has to be crafty. Has to be a thinker. Has to rely on IQ
Mhm.
more than the other attributes, and
Yeah.
that always makes a player better as they get older and over time. So
Yeah. No
yes,
doubt about it.
very high floor,
Yeah.
very high.
Yeah. Shout out to JJ 4K7. RJ wasn't underrated before because his game wasn't that good compared to his competition, but now he's arrived slightly. Is that low? So is that some low key hate, JJ 47 K? We dropped the link, pop in and give us uh, your tell us what you really think
Yeah, yeah, we love
about
to hear from you.
about RJ. Let me put it in there again. Listen, I agree with Geraldine MacGyver. Let RJ marinate. Let him cook. Keep him. He's in the role right now. He's starting on the team. His usage rate is up. He's more aggressive with the ball in his hand. Let him continue to develop. Let's see what else. He has to get better finishing at the rim. He has to get better in his mid range. He has to get better pretty much all around. But
Hmm.
but the number one thing in which he needed to get better at, which was his mentality, he has. To me, that's the number one thing. That's what separates players is their
Yes,
mentality and approach to the game. And we see that. That's the biggest leap. You look at his numbers, they even regressed a little bit, despite the fact that he's averaging 20, is because he's taking more shots. But that mental part of the game, his confidence, that's all the difference.
Queen. If you don't mind, I want to veer off of the road a little bit and talk about Cam Reddish, because
Yes,
you just kind of brought a thought into my brain about Reddish, and one of the reasons why I'm least less concerned with Reddish as maybe some other people recently on one of the shows that we did. We talked about his lack of confidence. I think it was yesterday on
hmm
Nothing But Knicks. We
hmm
talked on not lack of confidence, but lack of motor and the concerns out of college, lack of motor, and forgot what the other term was that Gerard, is it? Jarrell
Jarrell.
Jarrell had brought up.
Just
But
the lack of motor and just understanding it, similar to what RJ was earlier in the season. Just playing
yes,
within the
yes,
flow of the
yes,
game and not like realizing how good you are and stepping out of the flow of the game and just taking it, you know?
exactly. But one of the things I'm not that I lack concern about with those issues is the fact that he could come out publicly and say, "I feel like I'm a star."
hmm
When he was asked that, what I mean, we haven't heard that from RJ. You know what I mean. We seen it. We seen the mentality switch. You know what I mean. Like we seen him big himself up when asked about his performance or things that he's
hmm
gotten better at. But we've never heard him come out and say, you know, I feel like I'm a star in this league, or that's where I'm gonna be. You know what I mean? So the fact that he could
Cam
say
said
it,
that?
yes, absolutely. I don't
Okay.
remember if it was his introduction to us
Mhm.
or if it was during his time on the Hawks. I'm I want to say it was his introduction to us when they
Mhm.
asked about what do they see his role as, and
Mhm.
and you know, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was when he came to us. What do you think your role is on this
Mhm.
team? And
Mhm.
I feel like I'm a star. I feel like I could be a star. And
Mhm.
for you to say that out loud publicly,
Mhm.
I don't think you don't believe it. So the
Right.
fact that you believe it, you know what I mean, that gives me confidence that you have to work to become who you think you are. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So I'm confident in that with Cam. I just had to throw that out there because it popped into my head. And he's one of the guys that I'm probably, I'll say, most intrigued about. I think that conversation that we had last night was and I don't know how much of it was on air or off because
Mhm.
we
Right.
spoke for about
Right.
and after your show, matter of
Right.
fact, excuse me,
Right.
I was like, we spoke for another hour and a half, and
Right. We
he
did.
intrigues me the most because you know with the insight we got from Jarrell about
Mhm.
watching him in high school and things of that nature, and the questions then, but having
Mhm.
and seeing that he had all the talent in the world, 6'8", running the point guard as a senior, and et cetera, et
Mhm.
cetera. Um, I think his ceiling is actually through the roof. You know what I mean? Like I feel like if he could peak to his best, oh man, he is no telling where he could be, and that's on both ends of the floor. I don't know if you want to talk about that. We didn't even do a keep it or dump it on him, and
Right.
I
Right.
leaked everything. But
Now I'm gonna get back to that, but I'm gonna welcome in Jay
oh,
Boogie and give him the
salute.
opportunity. I think he probably wants to say something about RJ or whatever. So salute, Jay Boogie. Appreciate you for hopping on.
No doubt, no doubt. Salute to the queen and salute to
Appreciate
my
you.
king right there, man. Blessings to y'all. Shout out to the chat and everything. I just came on because it seemed like nobody wanted to share and everybody just wanted to make comments. So, I'm like, the opportunity is there. Let me come up here and share with my brothers and my sisters right there, Oh, Lord. Say hi so you can go. Say hi. Okay. No. All right, then. Yeah, that's what it is, man. When I get this, here, say hi. Say hi. Hi. Okay.
Hi, how are
So,
you?
Say hi, Tony.
oh,
Super,
super,
hi, Tony.
hello,
All right.
superstar
Appreciate
in the
you.
building.
Oh yeah, she's a ball player. I'm training her now. Right now. Right now.
Okay.
She's only 4. Yeah, RJ, I'm really, I'm really, I'm really anticipating RJ this season. This is RJ's first season where he can be him. Since he's been here, he's been asked to do this and do that. You know what I'm saying? Now this is the chance for RJ to do what he feel he need to do, what he need to develop. You know what I'm saying? Last year, they threw him to the side and asked him, "Yo, can you play the 3? Can you be more of a defensive player and all that?" So RJ probably pulled a break up on some of his, workout during that time. The season before that, he developed confidence in the trade. He developed a little bit of confidence in driving, but I think he pulled the brakes up on his development of his game because the team was asking him to do so many things. But now, with the team right now is saying, "Yo, we're gonna give you this Spalding." The fans are saying, "Yo, give him that Spalding." Everybody's saying, "Yo, this is RJ's." You know what I'm saying? I believe right now he's going to be in the on season working on his game. Excuse me, I say the on season. Everybody call it the off. Now ain't nothing off. It's the on season because the officers need to be getting it together. But
Right.
I like to see RJ come back next season and be like, yeah, I'm here. I arrive. I still think the interview he had the other day, he said he want to be a leader. That's what we need. I don't want no more veterans on this team. I need
Mhm.
somebody that can lead, somebody, what I'm saying, that can, relate to the brothers that's on the team. Talk to
Mhm.
them, confident, give them confidence, talk to them, and talk to him and just like, let him know, I'm the big bro. Call him before the games. When you get to the gym and it's time for the game, talk to him again. Make sure they, either feeling better than when you first called them. You know what I'm saying? Just let it lead to the game and lead to, you know what I'm saying, the practices and everything like that. So we need leaders on this team. And RJ say he want to be a leader, then go ahead and be a leader because we don't have one. The locker room was a disaster last year. No big brother, no nothing like that. And I blame stuff like that on Todd Gibson. I blame stuff like that on Derrick Rose. But Derrick Rose is really not outspoken, you know what I'm saying? We need leaders, people that's going to voice their opinion, you know what I'm saying? Be spokesmen. And not only spokesmen when you have a good game and Rebecca want to talk to you after that. I need you to start to speak to us and talk to us early on. You know what I'm saying? Let us know how the team is feeling, how you feeling. So the team don't have to worry about, oh, Leon ain't talking to her. I don't even want to hear Leon talk. I'd have been cool if he ain't said nothing off season because you ain't been saying nothing. Talk to me with the players. That's who I'm in tune with, the players, not the office and all that, the players, man. So, you know, that's where I'm at with RJ, you know, right now. I want to see RJ come back, you know what I'm saying, and
Right.
do his thing because this is his year.
Now, are you giving him a max contract?
No. RJ know he's not a max player. You can't be a max player when you're not even on the young rookie all-star team. You can't be a max player when you're not even in the top 25 for the under 25. There's nowhere in the world I can give you a max contract, you know, over and them guys, you're not on that list. RJ needs to prove himself this year and let us know that he is here, but I'm not giving him a max. I can't give him a max. You know what I'm saying? I can't do that because he still has too many leaks, too many flaws in his game. Maybe somewhere around what's that boy name over there in Phoenix? Maybe somewhere around his contract, I might do that.
Mikal Bridges.
Yeah, maybe somewhere around his contract, I might be willing to do that. But all that the 36 per year, 5 year, what 181? I'm not doing none of that.
Yeah.
Uh-uh.
Now, are you
J Book, I'm sorry. Let me ask you real quick. You mentioned the top 25, under 25, and the all rookie selections, and you don't think RJ was snubbed in any of those categories? Do you know? Because I feel like he's been snubbed year in and year out for these first 3 years.
He could have.
And again, I'm not making the argument that he deserves the max because I agree with you. He does not. But just simply talking about these lists.
In some spaces he could have been on there. Some place in some ways I understand. You know what I mean? Some of them guys' games is a little bit more further advanced as far as their will for the game. So many different things they can do and bring to the table, and how the teams are more or less feeding into them as far as leading the direction of their teams. This is RJ's first chance to be in that position that some of them guys is already in. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I'm not upset that he's not on that, but I spoke to somebody else, about it. The point is, what are you going to do about not being on the list? You should have on your sneakers, every pair of sneakers you wear should have snub at the bottom of them. You should be coming out there looking for any one of them guys that's on that list that they said was better than you. So what are you going to do, RJ, as far as changing their mind about why you should be on that list and why they made that mistake? So that's why I say this year is real big for RJ, man. It's big.
I agree. It is big, Jay Boogie, because he can take that next step and solidify what we're seeing this year,
Mm-hmm.
or he cannot.
Right.
And then, you know, I don't know if he doesn't, if that means he won't ever, but I think it does leave you some doubt if he doesn't take that next step, right? Doesn't mean he won't ever do it, but when you see guys usually sometimes they do take a step back, right? You think about Hero, he took a step back and then he can't.
Even Duncan, even Robinson, Duncan
Yeah,
Robinson.
yeah, but Duncan Robinson doesn't have the ceiling of an
Oh,
RJ. I'm looking for RJ to take off. I'm with you. I'm looking for RJ. He's gonna come and to do it right out the gate,
out
not
the
in
gate. Yep,
December, not in January.
that's
You
right.
got your role now. Tibbs trusts you even more now. You got the ball in
Mm-hmm.
your hands a bit, even more now than before. This is your time to shine.
Start
Exactly.
strong. Start strong. Finish stronger.
Right.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he's got better at waving Randle off. So he's over that mental hurdle of, you know, Randle is calling for the ball. I got to give it to him. I've seen him already. Randle calling for the ball. RJ just doing his own thing. So he's over that mental hurdle, I think. I don't think he's worrying about Randle and that having to defer to Randle if Randle is still here. I don't think that's going to impact RJ at all. I think RJ is at the point that when I get the ball, I'm going to do what I think is best. You could be over there waving your hand all you want. You muted.
Yeah, I put on mute because my little one, she be saying what she's saying. But I'm everything you said was right on. You know what I'm saying? But when waving off, nah. Right now, when I receive this ball, first thing I'm thinking about is getting a bucket. You know what I'm saying? I don't need RJ really to be facilitating. I need RJ to be a go-to guy. You know what I'm saying? When I get that ball, you know what I'm saying? Either I'm going to make a quick move or I'm going to reset. You know what I'm saying? But you said it right. I'm not deferring to nobody. This is his team, his show. You know what I'm saying? Julius, if you're here, you have to accept that. You know what I'm saying? You have to blend in. You have to work with him. You know what I'm saying? Y'all have to work together. That's the only way it's going to work if they work and go together. If Julius here. If not, then we moving forward. Hopefully we got a good trade or something for Julius. You know what I'm saying? Don't just get rid of him for anything.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to read this front office. I don't think the front office is in agreement with most of the fan base to move off of Randle. So I think he might be here next season. And you're absolutely right. They have to work together. When you see both of them on the court, that chemistry is just not there. RJ have the ball on one side of the court doing his thing. Next time down the court, Randle has the ball on his side of the court doing his thing. I don't see a lot of them playing together and playing off of each other.
Right. I try to tell myself, like last season, I try to make excuse for Julius myself, my own personal excuses. And I come up with excuses like, maybe the office, you know what I'm saying, kind of like, put Julius in his mind frame where he was at, you know what I'm saying? They did things to him that he didn't like, such things like as if like this is Julius' team. Everybody on the team know that Reggie Bullock was his man. That's his man. So if you making me the highest paid player, and I'm coming off an all-star year, and I'm a most improved year, and you're not calling me into the office and talking to me about no moves y'all making, that's my man. So you got rid of my man, you know what I'm saying? And I ain't have no say so, no nothing. Most of the time when your man is your man, he don't go nowhere if I'm the number one dude on the team. So, and then, of course, with the Kimber thing going on, you know what I'm saying? So I could go on and on about, making up excuses and hope that was the reason with Julius. But if he come back, I need you to turn all that mental space out your head and get right. Yeah, Tom.
J Boogie, you make excellent point, and I'll take it a step further. And I know the chat is not gonna want to hear this, but not only was that his man, but they got rid of his other man who he had a relationship with, who he spent time with, on the Pelicans as well in EP. Now, granted, I know the fans, the chat, you know what I mean. Everybody wanted Peyton gone, like they was mad he got brought back the first time. But to your point, not only did they get rid of the guy who he had a longer relationship with, you know what I mean, and maybe that was inevitable, but then you went back and got my second closest guy on the team in Bullock. So I think that is a excellent speculative point. You know what I mean, but makes perfectly good sense.
Yeah, and then when we started losing, he might have been like, you got rid of those guys. Now look at us. We not better. You should have ran it back. You should have kept it the way it is. No excuses for him. I agree with you, Jay Boogie. We're not making excuses for him. Just trying to understand his mindset. Like he was also always an emotional guy, but this season was it was a little different. A lot different.
Yeah, but shout out to him and shout out to D Rose. I'm shocked that guys like Quickly, Obi Toppin, them dudes is not. But shout out to them guys going to games. You know what I'm saying? Going to watch. D Rose was at the Phoenix game last night, watching the game. Yeah. And Julius was at the Dallas game. See, that's what I need quickly and Obi and them type guys going to these games. Call your man Maxie. That's your old roommate. Get some tickets. Go to the
Mhm.
game. You know what I'm saying? Get your mind wet. Yeah, we know you've been in the playoffs before. You know what I'm saying? We know you understand what it is to be in the playoffs, but I need you to understand what it is not to make it this year. I need all this pain to be getting inside them guys. So them guys should be going to some of these games where they can and see what's going on and get that feel and get that environment and get that hunger and get ready to get back and get in this chimp. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to hear and see no excuses next year. I'm gonna be at a lot of games next year, and I'm gonna be eight ball up in that building. I ain't trying to hear it. They throw me out or whatever. Guys got to get right. I can't wait no more longer. I'm tired, man. I'm getting old. You know what I'm saying? Oh,
But
I
Jay
need
Boogie, you saying that you get old, but yet you saying go young. That's gonna take a few more years, you know.
but I'm cool with that if you're doing that. Don't
Okay.
mix it. You know what I'm saying? Don't mix in your vibe. You know, if you're gonna do it, go ahead and do it. You know, I like to say, you know, Phoenix is where they're at right now because they stuck to their young youth. They stuck to their plan. Before the
But
Phoenix Suns was the
they
Phoenix.
do have a good mix though. They
They
got
got
Yeah,
yeah, and they
a
got
good
better
mix.
players than we do for sure.
yeah, but you gotta, but see, they waited for the right time to do that. They young, before they was Phoenix, they was the Memphis Grizzlies. And before they was the Memphis Grizzlies, they was doing what the Cleveland Cavaliers decided to do this year. So they took them steps, and when they got there, and they developed them guys inside that playing, and they was like, "Yo, whoa, we can play with this." That's
Mhm.
when they went bam, CP3. You know what I'm saying? It was over then because them guys developed and had confidence in themselves. You know what I'm saying? That they can handle it. They've been together, growing together, living together. You know what I'm saying? Prepping together the whole time. They just needed that one thing and they got it. I don't think it's gonna work for them this season though.
Yeah, I think we're on a similar track. I think even if for me, I'm of the mindset as long as our guys are getting playing time, they're gonna develop. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, look how they developed even when they didn't get as much time as we wanted them to get. When they
Right.
got into the game, they shine, which lets me know that in practice, whatever they're doing, they are still developing. Because when they get in the game, they look good. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
read that article in the Athletic that they have that pre-practice. You know,
Right.
before practice, Tibbs himself, not the coaching staff, Tibbs himself get together with that young core, including RJ, and goes
Mm-hmm.
over those plays with them over and over and over so that when they get in the game, they ready and they know what to do. That's why when Grimes came in, he looked good. When McBride gets his little minutes, he looks good.
Right.
Sims, he looks good because they working with them and working with them and working with them. So to me, I don't necessarily feel we have to go all the way young, but I do think that, like you said, they need to get their time. They need to
Mm-hmm.
get, they need to get better. And when they're ready, and that could be next season or whatever, you got to move off. The only thing I'm saying is I think they need one more season, one more year of seasoning, but I get it for the fan base that feel like they ready right now.
Yeah. Hey,
Showing.
J Bush, man.
Showing
I
proof.
definitely I gotta get you on the show one day if you want to set it up for next week, Monday or Wednesday, whenever you free, man. And as far as like that you talk about motivational speaking, man.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mhm.
said this before, but man, if I could get a voicemail from you, you know what I mean, that's something I could
Every day.
save and play in the morning. You know what I mean, get me up ready for work and everything else, man.
Hey, don't
Got it,
don't
my
tip
brother.
me, man, because I hit that line. See, me and sis, we right here. We got contact already. I ain't got no contact with you. You know what I'm
All
saying?
right, we're
I
gonna
might hit
set it up.
yeah, I
We're gonna
need I
set
need
it up.
your math and everything so we can talk and we can build. You know what I'm saying? You know, because I
Definitely.
just like see for real. I like to I share this with a lot of people. All my family, well not my family, but all my friends that I appreciate and I'm good to be around is within podcasts. It's sad to say that you're closer to people that's so further away than the people that you're around. You know what I'm saying? Thinking you'll be that close to them when it comes to being your friends. You
Right.
know, I know all y'all are real friends, you know what I'm saying? And even though basketball brought us all together, you know what I'm saying? I can take that and accept that, you know what I'm saying? Because we all on the same level and it's all men and women, you know, dealing with this and we
Right.
talk to one another on real life terms. So, you know,
Yeah.
I'm good with that. So the more people I can reach out to, you know what I'm saying? That's helping me, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
When people be thinking I be doing things and be helping them, or they don't understand. It really be helping me, you know, coming from where I come from, being locked up, done a lot of time, each and every day. I have to practice myself, you know what I'm saying, of doing the right thing in life, so I don't do nothing foolish, you know what I'm saying, to put myself in those bad positions. And I have to practice that every day, you know what I'm saying. A lot of people think when it get good, you let off the gas. No, you have to practice what's right for you each and every
No
day.
doubt.
That's how you
That's right.
continue on being right, you know what I'm saying. So that's why I love all y'all.
Yeah, I
Salute, brother.
appreciate you. Yeah, definitely. Salute, and you're right. Just contacting, wanting to be on the show,
Mhm.
contacting you. Are you, sis? You still in Georgia? How far are you from Charlotte? You coming? You want to come to the Nick game? All of
That's
that
right.
behind the scenes stuff. I definitely appreciate it.
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt, no doubt. And I appreciate this coming up. You know, I'm gonna bounce back off, you know what I'm saying? But y'all, I ain't nowhere but a phone call away, you know what I'm saying? Matter of
Definitely.
fact, with Tone's permission, you can text me his number, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And man, you can go from there, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And,
We'll do.
and if anybody get a chance, watch out for that next diss track because I put that bong bing out. It's out, you know what I'm saying? It's
Oh
out there.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Matter of fact, both of y'all got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Both, both of
Okay.
y'all got it.
You
Early
sent
this
it
I'm
to my
morning.
email.
Y'all got it.
Oh,
Y'all got it.
that's my
It's
new email address. I'm gonna have to put notifications on because I didn't even. I didn't. Okay, I'll definitely look for it.
yeah, that's
I,
kind of
I,
like
I,
the
I'll plug it tonight.
yeah,
Yeah.
no doubt, man. But blessings to blessings. Y'all have a great evening, you know what I'm saying? And I'll talk to y'all real early and soon. All right?
Okay.
No
Appreciate you.
doubt.
Salute. Appreciate you.
All right.
Salute to the chat. God bless.
All right. Jay Boogie. Let me read
Oh
this.
man.
Ball of energy. You right. You listen to Jay Boog. You be like, you ready. All right. Kaiser Saw 71. Is it Souls or Soul Z 718?
So say.
Appreciate you.
Kaiser so say.
So say. Appreciate you. Time to get rid of Randle. Bullock, Peyton were bums, and they rot in the bench where they are now. We on the RJ Barrett timeline. What are we talking about? Randle choked in the playoffs. He wasn't the only one. He wasn't the only one to choke in the playoffs. And say
Mm,
what you say, we went to the playoffs with that team, and we out of the playoffs without Bullock and Elford. A lot of times, it's not about the talent of an individual player, but how those pieces fit together to make you a better team. And we may be more talented this year, but with Elf and Bullock, we were a better team. The chemistry was better. The defense was better. We were offensively challenged, no doubt about it. But this year, our offensive numbers were about the same. We're about the same, but yet our defense dropped from 4, at least the offensive rating, from 4 to 11. So it's really about putting a team together where there's a good mix. I've seen many talented teams go down. You got to find that mix between talent and chemistry, and hopefully
mm.
we can find that going going forward.
Agreed. Agreed. I mean, I was there for Fournier, and I mean, not Fournier. I'll give my Fournier take, but I was kind of there for Obi and Rand and IQ, so
Thank
I don't
you.
gotta reiterate that
Mm-hmm.
Fournier's real tricky to me because I feel like he came in and he did his job. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
it's not like I'm disappointed in I feel like he came in and did his job, so I don't want to like bash him or trash him or
Mm-hmm.
or say he didn't live up to what I expected from him. You know what I mean? Like once he broke that single season record, I felt like that's what we brought him here to do, and he did that. But my question with him is, and it's unpopular amongst us, NBK fan, but I feel like I'd rather move him than move Burks. And I'm not arguing that I want Burks in the point guard role, because I don't. But I feel like his versatility is a lot more than Fournier's, and I feel like it's not that far of a drop off on what Fournier can do offensively compared to what Burks can do offensively. You know what I mean? Like I'll give Fournier the niche, or I'll say he's a little bit better at shooting, but Burks is not bad at it. You know what I mean? Like he may be a little bit more streaky, but he also does more things with the ball, rebounds the ball, defends on the on the other end. Um, I think he's a better playmaker than Fournier as well. Even though I believe Fournier is capable, and part of that I believe is Fournier would be better suited in the bench role where he could kind of be a little bit more dominant, ball dominant, and I think we'll see even more from him in that role where in that starting unit. I think he's kind of been trying to fit in all year. You know what I mean? He picked it up in spurts in games, but I wouldn't be mad moving on from him. It's not a definite dump him. You know what I mean? But I'm not mad at moving on from him, and the amount of money he makes, will ultimately help us, especially if it's a literally salary dump. So I'll say that if it's a salary dump move, I'm with it. But other than that, I'm not like just pushing to get rid of him because I feel like he came in and he did what he was supposed to do. We wasn't expecting him to lock guys down. We wasn't expecting him to be the main facilitator or even compete in that area. You know what I mean? And I felt like he was in a more difficult role than he's ever kind of been in throughout his career. You know what I mean? And that goes for NBA and France. He's always had more of a prominent role on the teams he's been on. So that was an adjustment for him.
I would take Fournier over Burke. I think we got Cam. I think if we move off of Burke, give Cam an opportunity. I think Cam could beat Burke out in
I
training
mean,
camp.
I agree with that, but I feel like he could beat them both out.
Yeah, he probably yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I mean?
he can.
So I'm kind of I'm kind of I'm not I wouldn't base it off of Cam. Why I would do head to head now, and I respect your opinion. If you say
Yeah,
head to
yeah.
head, you prefer
I would
Fournier.
prefer
You know what I
Fournier.
mean?
I
I
think
I know
yeah,
it's
yeah.
an unpopular opinion amongst us MBK fans,
No, no, no.
but
Oh,
but
against
I
the
think
MBK fam. Oh, okay. Because I think the
yeah.
fan base would prefer Burke. To me, Burke is a journeyman. He's a journeyman. He's a end of the bench rotation, rotation guy. He could play the one in a pinch. He could play the two in the pinch. He could play a three, the three in a pinch. He's that type of guy. I just think Fournier is a better basketball player than Burks, even though defensively he's not as good as Burks.
Um, it's funny that you said that because I literally was gonna ask you if you had to name like however many you can name just things that Fournier does better than Burks on the court. And let me also preference my opinion is highly influenced off of the difference in the pay. You know what I
Oh
mean?
well,
Like
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not
what we
looking at that. And the reason why there's a difference in play tells you something about their careers. Burks would never command
get.
that type of money. He would just never command 17, $18 million. There's a reason why 28 got that. That and I don't think, we could say the Knicks were fools, but even if another team didn't give him 17, he wasn't getting 5 million. He wasn't getting 10, you know what I mean? 10 million. He would have
But at
his
the same
market.
time, I don't
Mhm.
think I don't think it was that far fetched for him to be in that position. Now, granted, it's far fetched now because we signed him, multiple years. But had we not signed him, I wouldn't have been. It wouldn't have been far fetched for him to have a, a single prove it year from another team.
I mean,
You know.
it's possible. I just don't think it would have happened. I think teams know who Fournier is has, and as a matter of fact, you can argue that playing for the Knicks has hurt his value. That he
I,
was a more valuable
I,
player before he came to the Knicks. If he
I
went into
agree with
free
that one
agency
hundred
now,
percent.
he might not get the money he got
Yeah,
um coming out of
I agree
Orlando.
with that 100%.
Yeah.
Do you think that is based off of his role, or do you think it was more of an adjustment period? Let me ask you this. You was probably you saying you would keep him because I did miss that episode. You would keep him.
I said
Do,
I
do
would
you
keep,
expect
but I'm
a
okay if
better
they trade him. I'm okay if
do
they trade him.
do you expect a better version next year, or do you think we he is what he is on this team? And do you think it was based off the role he played, or more of a just an adjustment period?
Correct. He's just a better player. I think I don't, shout out to Andy, you know, I want to get this right because I know he listens to all the shows. I don't think he was used wrong by the coaching staff. I think the coaching staff had to figure out how to get Randle and RJ, these ball dominant players, to play within this offense, and trying to fit Fournier, who can also handle the ball and also play make a little bit. His role just had to change. So I don't think they played him wrong. His role just naturally had to change given RJ and Randall, right? Now, next season, is Tibbs and the coaching staff going to use him the same way? Or are they going to find innovative ways to use more of his skill set? You
And
know,
that's why I think part of it
yeah,
again. I'm not down on him. Part of it, I think he was used wrong, like not allowed to use all of his strength.
all of
You
his
know what I
strength,
mean?
and that may
It's like
not change, is what you're saying.
it's
That may
it's
not change.
pigeonhole. You know what I mean? And that's literally the total opposite of the usage of Burks. You know what I mean? Burks has been given the opportunity, whether we like him or not, or pushing for him or not. He's been given the opportunity to utilize every skill set that he has. You know what I mean?
He was, but he didn't look good
I don't
though.
think. No, no, I'm not. Like I say, I'm
Right,
not. This is not me defending it.
right,
I'm
right,
saying
right,
on the opposite end, Fournier did not have that
right.
opportunity. So,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, can we see a better Fournier than we saw this year?
I think Fournier is going to be
On
much better
okay,
next season because he knows his role. But I also think, I'm wondering if there's opportunities in this offense like with Barrett. At some point, Barrett just started taking it.
taking it.
At some point, he just said, you know what? I'm tired of just taking what's given to me. When I get the ball, I'm going to be more. I'm wondering if Fournier has to get to the point, or if it's just the offense holding. That's it. Is it just the offense holding him back, or is it his mentality of
That's
deferring, not wanting to step on people's toes, not wanting to do, more?
and that's
Because I
why I
think that.
felt like
Mhm.
that's why I felt like the bench role he could have just been free. You know what I mean? Do be who you are. He don't have to defer. He don't have to worry about stepping on toes. So part
Mhm.
of it was that for me. You know what I mean? And I'm interested if does
Oh, I
like
don't
you
have a
said. I
problem
think
with him going. I don't have a
that
problem
was a
with him
great
going to
point
the
though.
bench. Mhm.
That was a great point, though. Does he have
Mhm.
to reach a point? Because I mean, technically, you look at it. You say I'm under contract for a couple years. I don't have to worry about this is a contract year or this and that. I'm here. You know what I mean? I'm part of this team. Like if they move me, that's out of my control. So I need to take the bull by the horns and take
I mean,
take
listen.
control of.
You can argue, and I know the fans are gonna kill me. Chad's gonna kill me. You can argue. You could make an argument. I don't know if you'll win, but you can make an argument that Fournier is the best player on this team. You can make an argument for that because look at his pedigree. Look at his pedigree. This is somebody that could score on all three levels. He's a decent rebounder. I think he's better with the ball in his hands than he is playing off of people. Now, you can argue that he did this in Orlando on a losing team. They did make the I think they made the playoffs one time with Vucevic.
I think it
This
was
is a
twice, 'cause I think they
twice.
squeezed in at the very end. You know what I mean? Like
Okay,
HC two
right,
times.
right. So he's a high IQ guy. He understands the game. He's very tough. He played in on the French national team, and they weren't slouches by
Hmm.
any stretch. I believe they were in the champion. They were in the championship game against the United States. I want to say.
Yeah,
I could be
yeah.
wrong. I could be wrong.
No,
Um,
you're not.
and
They run. They run out.
he's a big part of this team. He knows how to play. He may not be a two-way player. I don't think he's as terrible as people make him out to be, but he's not a stalwart either on the defensive end. He has a higher IQ than Randle for sure. RJ may beat him eventually, but RJ is a very inefficient player at this time who's able to average 20 points a game because he puts up a lot of shots, you know? So I'm not saying it's an argument you can win, but you'll be in there. You'll be in the
I'll, I'll,
argument.
I'll tell you this. I'll be honest with you. I made that argument prior to the season that you know what I
Mm.
mean. There's a chance that Fournier ends up being our best player. And that was based off of all those things that you said. But I honestly feel like you could win an argument. I feel like you could win an argument as far as Burks being a better player than him. So
Burks
it's a
being
tough
Burks, look at
it's a tough
Burks' season. But Burks' career, Burks has always been a journeyman, always been somebody that come off the bench to
no,
to
see,
shoot
that's
and
two,
give you scoring.
but that's two different things. I didn't say make the argument he's had a better career. I'm saying you can make the argument he's a better player.
But
That to me that's two different things.
how?
You
How
could
you gonna be a bet? So it's hard. It's hard for me to wrap my mind around somebody being a better player but having a poor career. If you that guy, you that guy. Like he
I
had
agree with that too.
he had opportunities.
But
I mean,
so you don't you think every journeyman is is a knock, or like that's an
I,
asterisk for a player,
in
because
a
I think you
in,
can make the argument that if a journeyman, that means he's wanted by multiple teams as well. I don't think it means that the player is necessarily a dump, or they
no, I don't
give
think
up
he's
on the guy, or
trash.
things
Right.
of that nature.
Yeah.
You
I
know what I
don't
mean?
think no, I agree. I don't
In
I'm
chat,
not
I'm
saying he's
interested to hear what y'all
right.
think about this.
Yeah, I'm not saying Burks is trash or any journeyman is trash, but I'm just saying that they have um a specific role. They're usually not starters in this league. They're usually guys that fill in when starters go down. They're usually, guys that, if you need scoring, they're gonna come in, they're fill-in type guys. There's
Mm,
nothing wrong with that. They earning an honest living. I'm not hating. I'm not hating, on that. But
mm.
Fournier is he's an accomplished player in this league. But I
And
get it.
outside of it, I agree. I
And
agree.
outside of this league. Um, and he may go to the French if they have a French Hall of Fame. He may go. Burks not
I'll say
going to any
this.
Hall of Fame.
I'll say this, and hopefully somehow Fournier hears this. Prove me wrong. I would love to be wrong. You know what I mean? Like,
You don't
and
think he's done
every
that already
every
throughout his
everything
career?
that every I'm not looking at that. Like I said, the argument about his career. I'm not arguing that Burks has had a better career than
So
Fournier.
you saying he
And
had a better season? If you want to say he's had a better season,
well,
I
that
don't
that
even know if that would. I don't even know if he had a better
I mean,
season, but that's a better
it's
argument.
I mean, I can make that too, but just as a player, as far as like I asked you, and yeah, I don't think you answered. Like, what does Fournier do better than Burks?
I think he's a
Like
better shooter.
if you're gonna put a list on it.
Yeah, yeah. I think he has a better feel for the game for Burks. I think that he has a higher he's a better shooter than Burks, though this year his shooting was down. I think he plays better in a team concept than Burks. I think Burks, if you're not playing him down the stretch in a game where you need scoring, he's just another guy out there, in my opinion. He's just
I
another
see
guy out there. Now,
that's
listen.
where I kind of disagree because I feel like the essentials, like
Mhm.
just rebounding, assists, defense. Um, I would definitely give Burks the you know what I mean the edge. But then when it's shooting, I'll give Fournier the edge, but I don't think it's a large margin. You know what I mean? I don't think he's
He's just
eons
as good
better.
as he can rebound as well. He could play make as well. That a team runs better
Maybe I
when
am looking at the
Fournier.
season. Maybe I am
Yeah,
looking at the season.
yeah. The team runs better when Fournier just knows how to play. He just knows how to play the game. And listen, I get it with Fournier. I don't have any problem moving off of Fournier. I don't think he's as good a defensive player as Burks is. I get it. Burks Burks will
And
have games.
I
Mhm.
think I'm more comfortable if we talk about who do I want to take the last shot. I think I'm more comfortable with Burks than Fournier.
Take
I think they're both capable.
not in that left corner. He be
Like
falling out
I
of
said,
bounds like a trunk, and
I
he
want them
still
both
hit it.
on the floor as an option. You know, if we down two and we want to win, or we down three and we got a tie, I want them both on the floor. But I think, and they might have had the same about the same amount, like won the same amount of games for us.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Since now, granted, Burks had 2 years to do it, and Fournier only one. But I mean, I don't think they're that far apart. So maybe defense is what's
I,
swaying
I
me,
think
and
I
money is
think
what's swaying me.
if when you and his play on the Knicks is
It's
bringing Fournier's value down because we're just not seeing all of
and
him.
I was
Let's
high on him coming in.
But you was high on him for a reason because of how you've seen him play. Let's bring
I
Tricky
think I was
Nicky.
defending him. I'm sorry. I think I was defending him more against the
Right.
chat that than I am
Yeah, me
now.
too. I thought, and he still had the potential to be, but I think he deferred too much. I thought he would be the second best player on the team behind Randle because I wasn't sure what kind of jump RJ would take, and I was seeing RJ coming into the season as more of a two-way player, like 17 points a game, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, but guarding the best player on the other team, which he did, but I don't think he did it great. Let's bring Tricky Nicky into the stream. Hello,
Salute,
sir.
salute,
Salute.
staff.
Tricky.
How are you?
Hi, Tony. I'm doing good. You know, I like your takes. I'm listening. Um, but for me, Alex Burks, contract wise, he's the guy we needed. We didn't necessarily need to sign Fournier. What, 20 million a year?
17.
Yeah.
And next year,
Oh,
I think he's making 18.
yeah. It keeps going up, right?
Mhm.
And when I look at Alex Burks, what he did against Atlanta last year in the playoffs, we saw a performance where he scored, I believe, 30. I'm not saying I would dump Fournier because I like them both together, to be honest. I like the scoring. But if you ask me, it's Burks all the way when it comes. You're situational and you're looking at your team, and he's basically not making that much money, right? What is he?
Burks is
Like
making 10, 9
10?
or 10. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you look at it in that factor, that perspective, you have to put respect on Burks' name for what Tibbs asks of him. We wanted Fournier. Fournier came out and closed this season, though. So that's hard. This is like a hard topic to even talk about. But I will say this. You gotta sign somebody else in the off season and get rid of these vet contracts that we got, like New Orleans Noel. Gotta go. Sorry. Gotta go. Derrick Rose, I'm sorry, buddy. I love you. Thank you. Gotta go. When I'm looking though, Julius Randle, you gotta go. And when you play a young starting five, say such as IQ, RJ Barrett, Cam Reddish, Obi Toppin, and Jericho Sims. If Mitch stays, then you got Mitch there. My point is, I don't want these big contracts from guys like Evan Fournier that are basically, they're not really helpful. I mean, he came out there and he hit his threes. He had key shots, Fournier did. Burks is a smaller contract. And when he comes out and hits those shots, I can accept it. I can't accept paying someone 18, 19 million a year if he's not going to actually show up game after game after game. That's my point on that, though. Okay. With Alec Burks, he doesn't show up game after game after game. It's okay. He ain't getting paid that money.
But he's getting paid some money. I mean, you got to show up.
Man, it's not that much.
And the entire landscape of things, 17 million is not that much either. But let me just say this for those of us who, well, I don't know about not me, but for those parts of the fan base that want to go young, you're trading these vets, you're bringing back players. You're not trading these players and bringing back expiring contracts, draft picks. You're going to trade Randle, you're bringing back a player. And so it's still going to crowd these positions. Whether you bring back a point guard, an off guard, a small forward, a power forward, you're bringing back somebody that can play, right? You're not trading Randle for a bag of chips. So there's still going to be competition at those positions.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah, there's going to be competition at those positions. We're not clearing, that like we're going to just clear the runway and there's going to be no competition and these guys are going to be able to start. It's just not going to happen. You're going to bring back some pieces as well. Even if it does, there's no way you can get off of all of them anyway.
They're in a rough spot right now. The organization, the Knicks, we're in a rough spot because we have so much talent. I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm not saying Fournier and all these players aren't talented. Randle, we're just in a rough spot. We're in a spot where when I look at this New York Knicks team, I go, where's the identity? I don't see it. I started to see it with IQ, Obi, and RJ late in the season, but it was like basically a short window, right? Like we didn't get to see much of that because Tibbs always had Randle on the floor. So we're in a spot right
Randle's
now.
the best player, Tricky Nikki. I mean,
I know he is. I know. I agree with you.
You can't get upset because he always had Randle on the floor, like he always had a scrub.
I agree with you on that, though. But I'm saying I don't know. Randle being the best player is the best player for this team with this young group of guys we got. And that's what's scary to me. So, like, we're in a bad spot. And when you look at Thibodeau, his
We see
coaching,
you,
I mean,
Anthony A. Back in the back. We're gonna get to you.
we can go at that, but my point is, what I'm saying about Julius Randle, I don't think he fits or meshes well with RJ Barrett, IQ, and Obi, because either it's Randle or Obi, and you got a lot of Knicks fans out there liking Obi. You got a lot of Knicks fans loving Randle. But the problem is, I watched press conferences. I saw Obi, IQ, and RJ smiling in those press conferences.
But Tricky Nicky,
Randle
you're
never
not winning
showed up
games. So
after a
what?
loss.
So what? You
Stop.
not
You know that.
listen. No. Listen. You're not winning games by showing up to press conferences. And I get it.
Doesn't
It's
matter.
important. It does matter. It's important. But I'm not getting hyped up because somebody showed up to the press conference and smiled. How many wins we getting for that? I get it. It's important in terms of team chemistry. It's important in terms of an organization. We got to get players that know how to play.
My
I'm all for moving on from Randall if they feel like they need to, because I'm not sure we're going to be able to trust them because of his mental. I get it. But we got to stop with, oh, the offense looks so better because this is not synchronized swimming. I don't care how the offense looks. We have to put the ball in the basket and win games. The Dallas Mavericks is the slowest pace in the season. They in the playoffs about to go to the second round. It's not about that. There's teams that are more ISO heavy than the Knicks, but they have players that can operate out of those ISO roles. And Randall ain't it. I get that. The
So
only
what's
thing
gonna fix Randle though?
he may not.
Randall,
Randall.
Randall.
His attitude, right?
Right. It's a problem. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that that's not an issue. It is. It is. But what are we trying to do next season? If we just trying to go young, let them marinate. We're not worried about the playoffs. That's totally fine. Fine. But let me tell you something. I got 3 shows now. If we go young, then I'm going to bring Anthony A in. If we go young next season, I don't think it's feasible, but even if it is, even if we're able to do it, I don't want to hear one complaint next season about any of these young guys. I don't want no complaints about Obi. I don't want no complaints about IQ if they're playing bad. If the Knicks are 14-49, I don't want to hear any complaints because we said we wanted to go young. Don't come in here complaining that Tibbs didn't put this player in because we want him to make $1 out of 15 cents with that roster you just talking about. I want everybody to be happy, no matter how the players play, no matter how we win or lose. Come up in here happy because that's what you wanted.
Say it.
Talk
Scott.
about
Development.
Hey,
Development.
yep.
But be happy about it. Be happy about it, though. Don't come in here complaining.
Hey, we lost, but they developing.
I ain't complaining. I will not complain.
I'm keeping receipts.
If we are a lottery team next year and the young guys are out there playing, no complaints from Tricky Nicky at all.
I got the receipts. I appreciate you, Tricky Nicky. We got somebody else waiting.
Peace, King.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Anthony A. Appreciate you.
Salute, brother.
Greetings, Creed. You know I'm coming with it, right? Of course, I'm going to make a statement at the start, as I always do. The Queen is almost always right, and even when she's wrong, she's right. But this last
sometimes
statement,
I'm strong and wrong.
A little bit. Absolutely. But
strong and wrong. I like that.
Sometimes
you got the wisdom. I think one correction is we can trade away some bets and get cap space to cap space teams. That's a possibility.
Yes, we can.
Some.
Yes,
right, but not everyone.
Yes.
So selectively, of course, Kemba, Noel, and either Randle or Burks can be moved and maybe get back 1 or 2 pieces for cap space. So that's a possibility.
Yes.
My biggest challenge is this. Everyone is saying things like, let's get rid of the vets and force Tibbs to play the youth. And to me, that's like the kid that having vegetables at dinner. Take away dessert and leave the veggies on the table. How do you treat a 68-year-old coach, 20-year successful coach like he's a child by taking away his toys and trying to make him play a certain way? But that's not even his only fault playing vets. It's playing favorites and playing them too long and bad rotations, as far as I'm concerned. So there's still too many other flaws, even without the vets and dependency on his vets or favorites, that causes us, and I think caused us to lose games this past season. So when I mentioned 44 games earlier to you at the other show, Queen, I'm going to get
Hmm.
you the 2 tickets with you, of course, choose whoever you want.
Hmm.
But
I
I'm
hope I
saying
could be your guest
there were
co-host.
10. But
Yeah.
Creed, there were
Yeah.
10. There were 10 games. I could have counted 10 games where
Hmm.
Tibbs rotations, substitutions, overplaying the veterans. I think he actually injured RJ, in my opinion, at the game he left him in when there was 53 seconds left. I think he overplayed Kemba. 20 minutes max should have been Kemba's game. I think he went with Burks too long. After 20 games, you saw Burks was not a point guard. It was so clear to almost everybody else but Tibbs. And I think he mentioned, and the word is that he thinks he made a mistake right now. Taj going sometimes 30 something minutes. You know he's gonna be in the ice tub that night for the next 20 hours just to get his bones back. I'm telling you, I've been there. And then also the fact that people don't feel confident when you end the game. Because I'm sorry, but if you're a star, you're player of the year. I'm not trying to put Obi too much because it's up to him to build his own confidence. But when you're playing all game for like till you're 23 years old, you're playing all the time. All of a sudden, 3 minutes come out, 2 minutes made a mistake come out. Even Deuce hit three straight 3 pointers. Oh, switch time to put in the vets. Those kind of games that people spend means Tibbs is the problem in my opinion.
But
And
can
no
I
matter
say
what we
this?
do, we're gonna come back with that kind of challenge.
Can I
Yes,
say this? Can I say this?
absolutely.
Can we at least? And I disagree with Tim's. I disagree. There's certain things I would do different. But can we at least agree that he's working with certain knowledge that we don't have? Can we at least agree on that? Can we at least agree that there's
Absolutely.
different philosophies? Coaches have different philosophies, and that he may have a philosophy that's different from ours. So I've coached before, 10 years college basketball. Some
Mhm.
coaches have the philosophy if you hot, don't mess with the momentum, leave that player in, let them cook, right? Other coaches, because you get together with coaches and you talk, have the philosophy no matter what, I'm going to get my veterans in because it's important that I keep the flow to the game. It's important that the bench players know when they coming in, when they coming out. It's important that my starters know when they coming in, when they coming out. So now if a player gets hot, I have to balance between am I going to go with this hot hand and mess up my rotations or move them back a little bit, or am I going to just go back with my rotations no matter what? It depends on your coaching philosophy. Van Gundy said the same thing. It depends on. So, only thing I'm saying about Tibbs is we're judging him because he's not doing what we would do. He has his own philosophy. Every coach has their own philosophy. We can disagree with it, but it's hard to say it was wrong. I would just say I would have done it different. I would have rocked. My philosophy is if somebody is hot, I'm going to rock with them till they cold. And whoever it is, you're just going to have to find your stride whenever you get back in the game. But you can't knock a coach who doesn't, that's not their philosophy.
You know what? You got a good point. That's why you're the queen. I mean, again, you always come back with the answers that
I
seems to be on point, and it's true. I can't disagree with
that's
that.
not his
I
And I,
can't disagree with
philosophy.
that.
and I do think it may not be to the point where a lot of fans want or even credit, but I think Tibbs has made adjustments in his philosophy. I think he truly made adjustments when he took that time off and visited other teams and kind of pick brains with other coaches, as the Queen was saying. Coaches talk to each other. They talk about the differences in their philosophies, why they believe the things that they believe, and I'm sure they pick things up and I, some of their own thoughts by picking up these new ideas from other coaches. But I think we could look at just his 2 years here and and notice, if we're looking for it, some of the adjustments that Tibbs has made. I mean, I credit IQ in being tough enough to not let Tibbs affect his confidence, but at the same time, that was an adjustment for Tibbs to rock with IQ, knowing that he plays differently than what Tibbs is used to, and saying, you know what, this is a strength of his. He works on that shot, and allowing him to do it and not punishing him for it. So I think, again, it's like Queen said, it may not be what we want or what we like, but if you look, I think even the things you don't agree with, if you look close enough, you can understand why he does some of the things he does, or at least respect it.
Right. He just has
Okay,
a.
absolutely. So now
Go ahead. Go well.
here's where Queen is right again. Fournier is a better player than Burks. It's almost like comparing KD to LeBron. Was KD the better player for the past couple of years? Yes. Was he a better passer? No. Better rebounder? No. Better floor general? Probably not. But that elite scoring, that just general sense of how to play together, Fournier has that much more above Burks, that Burks' other intangibles did not bring him to that level. And it's not, again, about the
So
journeyman
wait,
thing. I know there's some
is
journeyman.
Fournier LeBron or KD?
LeBron.
Fournier is KD. No,
Oh, it's
KD.
KD.
Burks is the more, Burks is more, he can do
Well
more
rounded.
things, more well-rounded, but Fournier was such an elite scorer. I think even more than Burks. I know it didn't look like a lot, but it is a lot if you look at their history. He's so much more elite scorer, and then he has enough intangible as far as IQ and ability to know the game that he was above Burks, and Burks just happened to have some tools where, like, well, defensively, I want Burks in, yes.
Defensively,
But
yes.
offensively and a general overall game, Fournier is the man. I was shocked he actually say it clean when he said he could have been the best player. And then I looked at him like, oh my, you are right. He could be the best player because he actually could be better than Randle as well. And that's why you're the queen. And that's why I got to give you the props because
I
that
mean,
was one of
I'm
the
not
most shocking
always
statements I've
right,
ever heard.
right. But I will say this:
No,
don't underestimate Fournier's um,
right.
rebounding, playmaking, and some of the other things
Yeah,
that Burks
Hmm.
do. He could do those as well. But
I think
defensively, I, I think I think
I
Fournier
think he
has. I
was
mean, Burks
I think
has
he
it.
was saying that. I think he was saying that
Right,
I think he was making the same argument that I was making in reverse,
right,
where I feel like Burks is better at a rebound and assist or whatever, but he's saying he's not as far off in those
right.
areas.
In the
And
other
then
areas.
my argument in reverse was Fournier is a better shooter, but I don't think Burks is as far off in that area. But I think it's a fair argument. Even I don't disagree. Though I understand you guys' opinions on it, and you know what I mean. I think it's a good debate. I
Yeah,
really do.
no
I
doubt about. Right. And I
Yeah.
said arguably. I'm not saying I'm not saying you
definitively.
Right.
can win it. I'm just saying that well, not that
Exactly.
one. I was talking about the best one on the team. That's an
Mhm.
argument. I'm not saying you
Right.
can win it, but you'll be right in there. It's like having Larry Bird with Michael and Matt.
Exactly.
You're gonna be right in there.
Yep. And Burks, the reason why I want Burks off because going back to the babysitting Tibbs is that removing Burks off doesn't give him a chance to put him back in the point guard spot because I think that was his biggest mistake this year. Besides not reining Randle in more and playing the players back, including Burks, especially Burks, less than 40-minute games. I mean, when I started seeing 40-minute games, that's when I started going, okay, I'm sorry, I can't. If I kept on seeing that, that's where I called the game. Every time they're gonna lose this game, man. Every time they're ahead by 10 points or so, and I go, oh, they got 35 minutes. It's a fourth quarter. The fourth quarter, if they top 40, it's over. If Randle shoots more than 6 3-pointers, I started going lose again. I started counting the loss, whether they're ahead or not, based on where teams are gonna play Burks, Randle, and RJ 40 minutes,
Right.
or Randle's gonna be shooting more than 6 3-point shots. It's not his game.
It's
And
not
that's
his
where I was
game.
like, man,
It's not.
Tim's got to write
We
that
see you,
in.
DJ
But
Cash. We see you.
man, Queen,
Yeah.
I'm proud of man. I'm so impressed, man. I gotta give you,
I
I gotta get
appreciate
a
it.
youth team together. I'm gonna call up Dolan and try to get him to get you on that squad, get it to you in the front office,
Oh man,
on the bench there, okay?
I'd appreciate it. I'll get a suite for all of us to
Uh,
watch the game if I ever get a Nick
and,
position anywhere in the Garden.
absolutely. Much love, man. Peace to
Appreciate
all of
you,
All
you,
brother.
man.
right.
You
I
guys really keep me
appreciate you.
motivated. I'm here
All
in
right.
LA in the sunshine all the time,
Oh
and
my
I'm enjoying it.
goodness.
But I gotta keep my Nick fandom going, man. Even
That's
among
right.
these fucking Clipper
Appreciate you.
fans.
I'm glad we can
All right,
help, and
people.
we appreciate you joining in.
All right. Appreciate you.
Peace.
All right. We bring in DJ Cash. We're slow getting getting started, but now.
It's
Hello
picking up.
there.
Hello, how you guys doing this evening?
Good, good, good.
Salute,
How are
salute.
you?
Appreciate you
Good,
joining.
good. I've been listening in, and Queen, I commend you for giving that analysis of the coaching aspect. Me personally have never been a basketball coach, but in terms of your philosophy or perspective of a coach, Thibodeau in particularly, he is who he is, and he's going to live and he's going to die by that. So how do we fit our personnel to match that? You made reference of going to young folks. Me personally, this is what I would like to see, because we want to build sustained winning going forward. If we really look to the future, who are we going to win with? We're going to win with the young. We tried the win now. The win now doesn't work. I know we live in a market that is not patient. We live in a market that has a variety of opinions, and we can all be respectful of one another's opinion. But if we want to build sustained winning, we want to look at something long term. And long term, we know we got to go with the youth. But also, in going with the youth, we have to allow for a learning curve, and that's where the friction comes in with the fan base, especially in New York, because of waiting. It's like, well, I done waited all 20 years. How much longer do we have to wait? Look at other models from other teams. Look at what Memphis and Minnesota are doing. They're primarily younger teams, and it took time for them to even get to this point. But if they can continue to build on what they have, they'll be a great team. Now, going back to our coach, Tom Thibodeau, in saying he is who he is, and he's going to live and die by his philosophy and what he feels that what is best for the team. Well, give him some young tools to work with. And I believe if you give him some young tools to work with, those tools that we already have, he'll be successful. You guys also talked
In
about
time.
in time. Yeah,
In
in time.
time.
Correct.
In time.
Now, you guys talked about the Fournier and Burks between the two players. Now, in the long term, though Fournier is slightly younger than Burks, Fournier is a better fit with our young core than Burks. Burks is a Swiss Army knife, and he's good, and he has his moments. But I think in terms of the chemistry and the continuity that's needed going forward, if we're going to go with a young core, Fournier fits better. Should Fournier start if we do keep him? No, he needs to come off the bench. Now, I know the issue is going to come up, okay, well, this guy's making, all this money. Well, Bogdanovich came off the bench for Atlanta. I don't know if a lot of people knew that, and he's making more than Fournier. Though Atlanta got eliminated, but he came off the bench, and he was their main guy coming off the bench for Atlanta. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But I do believe that if we go with this young core, I believe that our coach can get them where they need to be in time, as you mentioned. It's going to take time. So next year, if we, looking for a championship or whatever, I think those aspirations are too lofty.
I don't think
If
anybody's looking
we
for a championship.
No, but
No.
even if we tank, and I agree with your assessment as well next year, that if we terrible, if we only win say 25 games and we go with the young core, that's a learning experience. That's something that they can build upon. And if you can keep that core
What's
group
your young
together.
core? Because everybody on the team doesn't have to be part of the young core. Who's the young core to you?
Now the young core, you're also right. The young core, these are the mainstays. Number one, Mitchell Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you think of Thibodeau, always like that old school center in the middle, Mitchell Robinson, sign him. To me, that's a done deal. R.J. Barrett, we already know the story. We don't even have to go and discuss that. Quickly, we've seen what he's able to do. He can be a major contributor. Obi Toppin, we see what he's able to do if given the opportunity. Deuce McBride, he needs opportunity. To see what he's able to do. He definitely has some talent that needs to be explored, because remember, he only signed a 2-year deal. So if he's not being used this year, he's gone. I believe he's going to go somewhere else where if he can get an opportunity and play, that might come back to bite us, because we always end up losing talent of someone going somewhere else and start to shine, and then that comes back to haunt us. But to me, that's our young core. Now, over the course of time, we're gonna lose bits and pieces. I mean, that's just
what about Reddish? Reddish not part of the core?
And Grimes.
See, he's always the forgotten man.
But
You're
that's
right.
what I'm trying to say. That's a rotation. That's more than a core.
Yeah.
That's a team right there,
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. You're right. But in order to move, and Grimes, yeah, I totally forgot about Grimes. But in order to move forward realistically, when you encompass all of those players, are we gonna be able to really keep all of those players as that nucleus? No, we're gonna lose a few because of making trades, because of the financial piece, because we know RJ has an extension coming up. But if we can keep certain key pieces and fill in with what fits, and I think that's the most important thing. A lot of people talk. All right, I'm going to give a case in point of an example. Zion. Okay, if Zion does want to come play with the Knicks, you got to realize that the position he plays, Randle and Obi, you see, that's not going to work, because we already have that log jam now at the 4 between Obi and Randle.
Would have to go. One or both of them would have to go.
Exactly. And then the other thing too, with the style of play, the young guys are going to want to get up and down. You talked about it prior with the ISO ball with Randle. Randle really does not fit if we're going to go young. So Randle, we're going to have to package him, get some draft capital back or some young talent or something.
I will say Randle is only 2 years older than Obi, though.
True. But their style's different.
Cat. He's not an old cat, but the style, yes.
You're right. Yeah. But the different styles is what's going to the style that we want to play is going to determine who stays and who goes.
Right.
And Thibodeau, he likes to play that grind style. So, it's hard to say what the moves are going to. Yeah, it does.
Those players, I think he will play. But let me just say this about one of your initial points. I don't think that the Knicks are always swinging for the fences. When was the last time that the Knicks, other than Carmelo Anthony, which was back in 2013, almost 10 years ago, I think that's a narrative that we keep playing, that the Knicks are always trading for stars. Other than
yeah, but I mean, where it was prior to that, I think we did moves like I won't include Marbury because I don't think he was past his prime. But the Penny Hardaways, the Tracy
Steve
McGrady,
Francis, the
the
Tracy.
Steve Francis,
We haven't
you know what
done
I mean?
that
The
in such
past
a
Yeah,
their
long
prime. Yeah, I
time.
know,
I
I
yeah,
just
know.
don't
that's
think
But
that's
true.
the Knicks
it's from
anymore.
nicks and bruises. You know
Oh,
what I
I
mean?
know, I
It's
know.
hard
No,
to,
I'm not talking
it's
to you.
hard
I
to let
know.
him go.
Yeah, people think that. Oh, the Knicks is. And another thing I want to say. Yes, trading young players for a LeBron James, for example, just so you can get in the playoffs for 1 year. Maybe that was 10 years ago. The Knicks haven't been that type of organization in a long time, but we continue to get flack nationally and even in the fan base for that. We haven't been that team for a long time. However,
Right,
there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with trading young players for other young players who are more established, have been in the league 3, 4, 5, 6 years. They're still young, and you know what they're going to give you. As much as we want to
yes,
develop our guys, we also have to come to the realization not all of them are going to pop and become
right,
stars. Some
right,
of them will, some of
right,
them won't. That they
right,
so young, you just don't know who will or who won't. RJ seems to have separated himself. Will Obi
right.
continue? We hope so. Will IQ continue to
Yes,
pop? We hope so, but we don't know. There's
yes.
nothing wrong with
And
cutting your losses if you're able to get, for example, and this player is not available. For example, if you're able to get a Brandon Ingram, he's been in the league
yes,
5, 6 years. You know what you're gonna
yes,
get. You know what his floor
yes,
is. He's still a young player. There's nothing wrong. Like
yes,
some players are into they not homegrown. Listen, I don't care. If you got traded to the Knicks, you signed as a free agent, you was drafted, you a Knick. That's all I care about. I don't care if you're
yes,
homegrown or not. That's not a big deal for
yes,
me. But that's all I'm
yes.
saying is that there's different ways to build a team. And if the Knicks trade for another young guy, stop saying it's the same old Knicks because I don't think that's the same old Knicks. The same old Knicks is trading for injured, over the hill guys.
I would agree with that. And also, the last point I want to make, looking at the Nets getting swept is the end of the super teams. Take note of that. It's the end because look how they played
But
that
just
card
because one
and
didn't
it
work
failed.
out, the Lakers worked out 2 years before that.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah, I
the
don't.
end because and the reason why I say that is not because of the talent factor. It's because one of the other components. You have to have players to play roles behind those super teams. In the case of the Nets, they had no defense. They had no defense. And
I think
we know that defense wins championships. It doesn't matter how offensively potent you are. And we look at NBA history. It's those teams that played a high IQ level of sustained defense that has won those championships. Even those teams that did have offensive juggernauts, superstars, players who were just off the charts, they played defense. And the Nets just doesn't have that.
No,
They didn't
I
have
don't.
that.
I don't think it's
And
they didn't have the
Sorry,
chemistry
go ahead.
either.
yes, chemistry and continuity. Yes. Yes.
They didn't have that either.
Yeah, I don't think it's the end of super teams per se, but I think you're spot on that that team was not constructed properly. Defense wasn't a thought in the construction of the roster, but I wouldn't say that that's been the motto of the construction of super teams. Overall, they just did a horrible job. You know what I mean? But I think that could change for them or any other team that has the opportunity to move in that direction. And I can't see an organization, whether it's the Knicks or anyone, turning down an opportunity to grab two or three of, let's say, the top 15 to 20 players in the league. So I wouldn't say an end to super teams overall, but I agree on that team's roster construction and defense wasn't a thought. And on
Right.
top of that, you look at the coach and then who coached the coach. And then the fact that D'Antoni was brought there as an assistant. So I mean, like nowhere in the process of that organization, I think, was defense emphasis at all.
I think they're
Yeah.
gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Ben Simmons will be back.
Yeah.
Harris will be back. Curry will be back. Kyrie will play I don't know if it's the end of it was the end of the Nets this year, but going forward, I think they still have a good shot.
Mhm.
Unfortunately,
They do. I would agree that their window is still open,
their window is
but
still open.
it's closing. It's closing very fast.
Yes.
It's
Well,
closing
they
very
knew
fast
that
because
window was small anyway to begin with.
yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, no doubt. DJ Cash, I appreciate you.
Thank
Salute,
you.
brother.
Are
Thank
you
you for the
coming to our
time.
draft party?
I have to see. I don't know.
All right, all right, all
Hard to
right.
say. Hard to say.
Okay.
My
Love to
work
have you.
schedule may not allow that,
You got
but
2
I
months to work
appreciate it.
it out.
Yeah.
Hey,
Okay.
you know what?
Thank
If you
you.
can't make the draft, if you're close enough, you could pop up the next day. It's a 2-day event, so
Yeah, it is a
Yeah.
2 day.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll keep that open.
All
I'll
right.
try and keep that open. Appreciate it.
Appreciate
Thank you.
you
Salute.
hopping on.
All
Salute.
right. Yep.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
All right. That was a great hop on. All of our
yeah,
guests today was on it.
absolutely,
Jay,
absolutely.
who was Jay Boogie, Anthony A, Tricky Nikki, and DJ Cash. All of the guests was on it today. Any last
Yeah,
words? Because I know you want to try to
I think I'm good on my show. To be
okay.
honest, I'm
Okay.
I'm a, I'm a hold that concept and that content,
Okay.
and I'll get it in. Either sometime during the weekend or hold it for Monday's show.
Okay.
And hopefully we get some more news or rumors or something that we could both add to. But great show again tonight.
Yep.
I love it. I love this bringing the chat in and
Yes.
getting their perspective. I think we need to try to make. We was talking about maybe doing it once every in a while, but I think this
Every
should
week,
become
I think
a staple.
a
Yeah, a
staple.
staple of the
Dropping
show.
that lit. Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
and like you said, moving forward, we're gonna kind of just make this a cutting room floor type show where we're pulling the content from Queens Court, from Knicks and Bruises, from MBK, stuff that you guys didn't get to speak on. You know what I mean? You'll have an opportunity to come here and kind of give your takes on those if you didn't already on
Right.
one of the MBK fam shows. So
Right.
great show again, Queen.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely.
Love it.
Always a pleasure. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel, Dope Soul Sports Talk. I also drop my videos on the starting five, my extended take on their season. I did IQ and Obi. I'm gonna do the rookies next, and then I had a great show yesterday with Sam and Tony and Gavin and I am Jarrell. Did I miss someone? Stafford Don when we talked about addressing the Knicks power forward and center position. So if you haven't already, please Google my channel, Dope Soul Sports Talk, and give me a listen. I'll still be rocking with MPK though.
That's right. It is definitely a great channel. More of the same beautiful content that you receive from all of us. It's still family, and yeah, definitely subscribe to Knicks and Bruises as well if you haven't already. Yeah, we're doing big things, and we can't do it without you guys. So we appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right. We'll see you next time.